Alrighty, looks like we have a few folks here. Welcome. Um, say hi in the chat, and let me tell you what we're doing today. I am on a quest to write an app that will help me analyze my survey results about what you folks want in an online course about iOS unit testing and possibly test-driven development and that kind of stuff. So, hello, Anibalcito and David Kuntz. So today, where I left off was we're taking survey results and oh, Bill, hello, Mr. William Wake. Honored to have you. I have survey results coming in, and here's an example. If in the interest column, which is this one, if the interest, which was the respondents' level of interest in buying my hypothetical course. Hey, Joe, welcome. If the level of interest in buying a hypothetical online course was 1, which was the highest answer, then I would weight that answer with a Fibonacci weighting of 8. And then it goes down, as you can see. Oh, wait, you can't see. I'm not showing anything yet. Here, let me switch. All right. Here we are. We have, so this is what I was talking about. We have comma separated entries, and the second column is the interest level, and I want to determine from that what sort of weight I'm going to give to their answer. The more interested you are, the more interested I am in what particular thing you want from a course. So here you can see that when 1 is input into the interest column, then the assigned weight is 8, 2 is 5, and so on. This is where I left off last time. Let's just give it a run just to... Okay, so it's all good. But this is where I get frustrated with XCTest, because this is a lot of repetition, isn't it? All these things are the same test with different inputs and just like changing some numbers. So that's what I want to play with today. And so a question from, can I call you Ani? Interesting. App code instead of Xcode. Maybe not a question in the topic, but it's because personal preference, or does app code have better tooling for testing? So it is personal preference. And yes, it does have better tooling for a number of things, but it's still using Xcode underneath, and it's still using XCTest. So those things don't change. You may spot some things as we go around things that either you like or dislike as we do this in app code. And we'll see. I usually point them out as we go. So here we are, lots of repetition. What do? What I would wish for, what I wish we had, is some sort of annotation. I wish we could say test like parameterized or parameter or something like this. And we say, here, let's take this. Oops. Let me knock that out. This is what I wish we had, that it would be like entry and expected or weight, something like that. Where this would be, to make it real swift, it would be like this. And then I wish we could take this and say this is the weight, and the entry, well, that's going to be here, and then we just sort of get rid of that. This is what I wish we had. Not just for one, right? But for lots of them, to be able to say, the next one is 2 and 5, and the next one is 3 and 3. This is what I wish we had. There are reasons we don't, I'm sure. But these are computers. Even though XCTest is based on some old tech, you know, can't we do computery things? And what I wish we had from this then is like a single test case. All these tests would collapse into this one, but that the results would actually come out and be shown like multiple times, or maybe a way to expand them. Something. You get the idea. I wish. Oh, while I'm at it, I also wish we could say this is at test and drop the test prefix. I'm dreaming now. All right, so that's what I wish we had. Let me reset everything here. What's unversioned? Oh, I have a limited whip plugin. I didn't think that was on. Anyway, let me roll this back. So, what do we do instead? One option is to just do this. Lots of repetition. And when you do this, by the way, my general observation is that in terms of number of lines of code, I usually end up with a 2-to-1 ratio. In case you're ever wondering about, like, gosh, I seem to have lots of test code. Yeah, I would expect you have twice as many lines of test code as you do production code on something that's well tested. So what can we do instead? Let's fool around. Let's experiment a little, but then I want to get into something a little more rigorous based on Mr. William Wake's work. So let's call this manual loop or something like that. I'm just going to copy this in here and copy this one in here. This isn't going to work because they have the same names. Let's see. Let me just start with the one. What we want to do is sort of parameterize this and put it into a loop and say, and you can already feel I'm a little lost. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear them. Like if we have, let's extract a variable here, call this weight. Hello. App code, where'd you go? Oh, beach ball. Wah, wah. I, I'm having trouble with my computer lately, just in general. Let me try this again. Just want to move in small steps here just to fool around. This is just experimenting. So if this is like one set and I sort of say, let input output equal like that. And then this would be, well, this would be the input, right? And this would be the output. Okay. Now we want, you know, an array of these tuples. And we're going to loop over it. Okay. I want to try to apply a pattern that Llewellyn Falco teaches and that I've put into my my latest blog post. You haven't seen it, about katas. And in here is, here we go, an interesting exercise called Many of One, which Llewellyn Falco taught, and I incorporated into Swift and put up here. And what that means is I would like to make this, I would like to turn this one thing into an array and loop over it. And how do we do that safely and in small steps? Let's see. And let's go ahead and give these explicit types. What you see here are the hinted types that app code shows. I'm going to make them explicit types. Oh, that wasn't what I expected. Maybe that is what we want, though. Let's try it. So input, output. If I say, let's make a new thing, I'm going to duplicate this. Call it input array, output array. I mean, I'm just fooling around here. And I put this one entry into an array. Well, like, will this, why is this still complaining? Tuple pattern cannot match values of the non-tuple type. Oh, all right. Okay, so it's getting messy. Maybe if I don't use a tuple type, maybe if I make it explicit, it will be easier. Let's try. Again, so this is a little different live coding than I usually do. I'm not going to make a whole lot of progress in the project, but I want to refactor these tests. So let's make test parameters, something like this, where we have input and call it output. Right, so that should be okay. And then let's first try to switch from this tuple to using one of these. So instead of that, I'm going to say this is going to break. I should be able to fix it up in a short time. something like this, where then this becomes parameters.input and this becomes parameters.output. Okay, we're still green. I want to stay out of red. And where red includes not compiling. So for a while, for however long there, a minute, I wasn't building. That made me a little nervous. Let's get rid of this explicit type. Or maybe not. Okay, so now let's do the many of one. Where I'm going to say, let's put this whole thing into an array of these. And then just grab the first element. And I think this will still pass. Good. Now we can say, let's, the next step of the many to one exercise is to say, now let's loop over the parameters. So let's see, what's the singular parameters? In this case, like a single entry isn't a parameter. Each entry is a set of parameters, so I'm not so sure what to call it. I'm just going to call it P. And I should be able then to take this up here and say this is going to be not parameter 0, but P. It's a bad name, but I expect this will still pass. Good. And just to confirm here that we have manual loop showing, there it is. Oh, this is, so what you're seeing me do right here is one of the benefits of app code. It's just, I find Xcode really wants to hide test results. Like if you want to see it, you got to click on something or hover over something, and then you see one line instead of like all the results. And it's just a little harder to get to. Not just a little harder. And maybe you're totally used to it. I'm not anymore. I want to see my test results right away. Just hide them, show them, just like that. Okay, so from going, to go from one to many, we make the many of one. So we took that one set of parameters, boxed it in an array that has one. We loop over the array, and now we assert. So now I ought to be able to add some more. Actually, I want to inline these. And unfortunately, there is no inline in app code for Swift yet. It is, if you would like to see inline come to app code in Swift, go find it in utrack where I've opened an issue and vote it up. So let's take this and inline it manually. Like that. I should be able to get rid of these. And now I should be able to go like this and say 2 is 5. Let's see what this looks like when it fails. What's it look like? So it says 5 is not equal to 4. And you kind of have to hunt around to see where is it 4? So that was supposed to be 5. I don't know, but it is progress. Here, let's keep going. 3 should be 3. Now let's break 2 of them. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just kind of want to see. I'll just show the failing tests only. Okay, so we get 2 assert equal failure messages. Now that's not bad. That's not bad. And it is starting to shrink up here. So this is working. And let's make sure, yeah, the line number is fine. It's line 21, that points there. This is not bad. I want to try something else now. Let's look at this article by William Wake, Mr. Bill Wake, in which he explores a way to sort of make this maybe a little nicer. Let's see. Let's just copy and paste here and have some fun. Because I don't know where it's going to go. That's why this is live. Okay, we still get... Oh, I should set these back. So I want to stay in green. Let's do the rest of them. You didn't have a better name than P. P's not a bad name. Oh, we both ended up with P. How funny. All right, so let's see what we have here in what I just copied and pasted from Bill's article, which I'm going to share over here in the chat so you folks have it as well. There you go. So what is this? We have P, which kind of makes me need to go to the bathroom soon, has input and output parameterized. It has some properties, input, output, a message, which it would be nice, a line number. We'll see how this all shakes out. Let's find out how it's used. But it seems to build. So now that we have one of these, what do we do with it? A test looks something like this. Test data using P, and for each P, blah, blah, blah. Let's give it a try. Oh, okay. So David Kuntz, let me point you to the many of one article. This was in here. You find in the table of contents here, many of one. And this goes to a repo that I have for Swift exercise, and then a link to Llewellyn's stuff. So I'll put that also in the chat. You're welcome. All right. So let's try to use Bill's stuff and see how far we get. And if we get in trouble, we can ask him for help. So we're going to do the same thing as we have here, except this time it's going to be like parameterized. Hello, Carlos. Carlos. We'll just call it parameterized for now. And so we make an array of P, where P is going to be input and output. Let's just copy and paste here. This is the input. This is the output. The advantage immediately that I see of this nice templatized thing is, right, it's the same idea as I have up here, except that it can be for any test, any input, any output. So that's nice. So let's do that, and then what? For each of these, something. For each, then we sort of put the test in there. Oops, can't type. Trying to type that. For each P. Very nice of it to suggest P. So that's, you saw there some app code completion. For each P, now I think we want to come here and maybe just grab these. Will this work? It does seem to work. There it is. It's run. All right. So let's expand this. I should be able to just sort of go up, 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 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 5, 3, 2, 1. And oh, yeah. So both work. This is pretty neat. But now let's make, one of the things about designing good tests is you really want to see them fail so that you can adjust the message. The failure message should, the combination of the failure message and the test case name, that is the test function, should give you useful information that you can act on. So let's, I don't know, I'll just say 0 for now. Let's see what we get here. Okay, 5 is not equal to 0. And I think I saw a thing here. Input, output, and an optional message. So this is where we can say, or what, like input 2, or let's just try input 2. I want to see what that looks like. Nothing yet. I guess we have to use it. All right. Just because we put it in there doesn't mean it's actually used, John. Okay, so you don't have to add the message. Hello, William, still around. Thank you. You don't have to add the message, but I think if you add p message to your assertion, right? So right here. Oh, p message, like that. Now let's try it again and see how. Okay. So you see what that did there is it now says 5 is not equal to 0 on line 33. So it's actually spits out the line number of, oh, Bill. Interesting. Line 33 where we now then have the input. So now we get extra information. The assertion failure still points to line 40, but thanks to, so that's useful because quite often, most of the time, you want to jump straight to the assertion and say, what was the thing? Like, oh, we're comparing weighted entry weight with the parameterized output. This is sweet. Now, what I kind of wish is that if I leave this out, then what? Okay, so it still adds sort of the origin line of the parameter in question. So we can find that pretty easily by finding line 33, and there it is. Very nice. So if we go like this and say, it becomes less important to add a message because you added the line number for us. It makes it easier to find the input source. But sometimes you still want a disambiguating message. Kind of like this. And let's see what this gives us. So now let's see. Okay, so 5 is not equal to 0, where the it identifies line 33 as the origin of it, but we can also see, without even going there in this case, that the input was 2. So I've got this mismatch. So what would be different between using string instead of static string for file parameter and int instead of uint? I don't know. Let's find out. Line. So normally we can add like line. Okay, so here's line uint, right? You can have file of, let me go back to the definition. Boop. Yeah, let's have a look. So here we have, in the parameters for the assertion itself, the file is now static string. That's a change. And the line number is uint. That may or may not be a change. However, interestingly, we're not using this. So if we go back here, we're not passing in the file and line to point to like a different thing. That is important when you have an assertion sitting in a function somewhere. But in this case, all we're doing is spitting out the message. Let me show you what I mean. So if we have, these are the default arguments, right? So this should give us the same result as far as this goes. Like, where did it fail? It failed on weighted entry tests line 40, that one. And we could actually pass in something else. $38. You would never do this. You wouldn't jam in some weird random number. Instead, where this becomes useful is when I have a little thing here called test helper, where if I have like helper like this, and I have an assertion inside of here, and here we pass the originating file name and the originating line number, and let's just fail. So the difference is that if I call this, let me just put it up here, assert something like this, and not specify the file name and line number, those come from those thingies, this will give us a failure that points to the originating line. So that's the trick I use when I'm extracting helper assertions. But that's not the case for what we're doing here. Instead, P is doing something similar. It is grabbing the line number here, and this is a really unusual thing in Swift. I've never seen it in any other language, to say, let's get the line number of the call point. In other words, where was the initializer called, which would be here or here or here, etc. And hang on to that, and then toss that out in the test results. I'm really liking this. All right, so that's how the p-type knows the line number. I guess because message or file path is a string literal, you don't need a string that can mutate. Correct. In fact, even these can be non-mutating. So Bill, that's just a minor improvement to make that immutable. Well, it makes it so that P is P and you can't swap it out for anything else. I'm liking this. Doggone. All right. I am comfortable replacing all my tests with this. Ah, sweet. I kind of wish there were a different way to say message and message. Let's see. I wonder if we could write a generic loop function that took an array and a local assert. I don't know. Yeah, let's work on message naming and stuff. I do need to go to the bathroom. It's too much too much P. So pardon my crudity. I will be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, I'm back. So let's play around with this a little. Maybe see what we can refine. Just sort of experiment with it. Although maybe I should let me first clean up what I have, and like for example, not do that. Let's get back to green. And let's get rid of the manual test. Actually, first let's compare the manual looping versus the patented Bill Wake solution. Yeah, so the big difference I see is the templated version, eliminates the need for me to have to define one of these for every test, which, every test suite, or even inside of a test suite, there might be different types of parameterized stuff. And it really makes that possible to get rid of that. That alone is the win. From here on down, it's fairly similar. The other win is in the reporting. Okay, so 2 wins. One is you don't have to define your own struct for every darn case you're going to do. And the other is the support of having the message stuff. I love it. Thumbs up. Boo-hoo. I read this, but I hadn't tried it. This is me live giving it a whirl. So I should be able now to get rid of my things here and pull this out. Let's just lift it up outside here. And now I can get rid of all these tests. Hot damn. Run. And I'm going to commit this. I want this. So parameterize Fibonacci weight tests. Like that. I'm still a little bothered by that, but that's a little plugin that I'm not going to use right now. The settings for it. All right. What else can we do with this? Can we tighten up anything, any sort of improvements, like message versus message? That's a little funky because, whoops, I did not mean to type that. I should have done that for my little potty break. I'd forgotten I have these new things. Oh, but it's preventing me from accessing refactor this. That's what it is. The shortcut is the same. Okay, let me kill this tool here. There we go. So we can't call this message and have it be good. Nope, it's just like, you can't redeclare message. We already have message. So naming, let's play with it. Naming is hard. And you start somewhere, and anything is an improvement. So, how about if we look at it in context here? Assert equal. Here it's called message. You know what I want to do? I'm gonna. We don't really need to access these. Actually, even these we can make private probably. Let's try that. Build failure. Ah, nope. Description. Let me do this. Let me rename this one to description because we actually never have to use the name. This should still pass. Okay. And then we can rename this to message. And that should still pass. Most excellent. Fooling around here. Make it a computed property. Yes. Yes. So if I say this is going to be message, and then we get rid of these. The main rule of thumb that I use for computed properties is if it's a thing, if it's a function without arguments and it's not heavy duty, like it's not going to take time or do asynchronous stuff or require lots of computing, then I tend to make it a computed property with a few exceptions. I have found that being overzealous about that in test code, like if I say, I want to extract maybe some, I want to construct the weighted the system under test, in this case this, in some way, but I want to hide some information about it. And so initially it'd be like, I'm going to make it a computed property, and you just get back the thing, but it's like, yeah, but most of the time you need parameters. And so I usually end up regretting that and changing a little helper that's in test code from a computed property back to a function so that I can add parameters to it. But otherwise, this is a little different case. Okay, so remove the return, and we can do that with app code. Same, if it's a non-parameter, so no parameters, or it's not order n, yeah. I probably will use a computed property, right? So for those of you who don't know big O notation that Ani is using here, order big O n means if you had input of, say, an array of 5,000, that the time it takes for that thing to that function to execute is linear in terms of the number of inputs. So it'd be like something times, if you have 5,000 inputs, it'd be like 5,000x for the actual performance time. linear would be like big O of 1. Like no matter how many things you give it, it's just going to spit back in a known time. And that's a good thing to be aware of in terms of computed properties. Remove instead of remote. Or are you clearing up a typo up there? Because I don't think I have remove. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What else can we do? Other ideas. So the message that I am going to make these private for now. I don't know. Maybe there's no harm in leaving it. You can't change it. Maybe there will be a test case that wants them. I'll leave those alone. P. P. P might be okay. I kind of like the way it looks with P. People would ask, what the heck is P? But sometimes terse can be appealing. Did folks have some ideas around the for each? Yeah. So Bill says his goal in creating this is for the mechanics of this stuff to fade to the background so that we can concentrate more on you know, the interesting parts of the test. P doesn't say much. Parameter message. I mean, if we really wanted to, we could say test parameter. I'm not sure which I like better, frankly. P doesn't say much, but it's just good. Oh, my test name is terrible now. I left that alone from when I was fooling around. Let's see. Let me just bring back what I had before. Interest column with 2. Let me grab one of these and say interest column. We don't say with 2 anymore. Should give Fibonacci weight. Something like that. That's clear. That's definitely a better test name. A name inspired an XCTest naming convention. I am so XCTest comes from the XUnit family of unit testing architecture. And I'm not sure that there was ever a standardized parameterized thing. We could look at the NUnit source code maybe, because they have parameterized tests. T test case. Yeah, we don't have to rush into it. If nothing else, P works. And especially worked here. Parameter input, parameter output. P input, P output. I don't know. maybe this is as good as it gets. If this is all that happens today, and we've been going now for an hour, so that's about as long as I like to do my uh, my tests. I mean, my Twitches is about an hour long because I don't want to wear you out. I don't want to wear me out, and I want you to come back. Um, so I think we'll wrap it up soon. Other thoughts? Yeah, XCTest. The XC is not unit test, is Xcode. Yeah, but it comes from what I'm saying is XUnit is shortcut. I am getting tired. Is a short name for all sorts of things like SUnit, which was for small talk. And other examples would be, of course, JUnit, which is Java. And so all these are together are collectively called XUnit. JUnit uses @parameters. Yeah, we could look at JUnit stuff. So do we? What I'm pondering right now is that in general, I avoid using abbreviations in code because the next person who comes in isn't going to know what P is. So let's lean on just straightforward. Say parameter. Let's see how it looks. Parameter input, parameters input. Let's say parameter. Input, output. Is this any better? Maybe. Let's just keep it for now. We can always change our mind later. Test case. Let's try it. Except, oh, we'll be okay because it won't clash with XCTest case. Test case input, test case output. You know, that is interesting. That is interesting. This is the hardest part of programming, right? Coming up with good names. That's kind of nice. Bill? Let's say rename. That is kind of nice. So, rule of thumb then would be make you one of these. Be sure to include the message. And do eventually, of course, I think we'd want to extract this to its own file so that other stuff can use it, access it more easily, find it, not just access it, but make it discoverable to the reader to say, where's that test case parameterized thingy. But for now, there's no need to rush into things. You can always do it later. Let's see. Let me catch up on the chat here. Honey, I have a question now related to the stream topic, but relating to testing in iOS. What's your thoughts on testing in iOS in general? I have worked and currently in large companies, and in my experience, testing in iOS isn't too popular or implemented in comparison with other platforms. Yes. In other words, is testing in iOS a myth? Or are you just you being unlucky? Kind of both. It is also my observation that the iOS developer community as a whole lags behind um, other communities. For example, the fact that we're trying to come up with parameterized testing right now is sort of a reflection of the fact that things are not really mature. But also, all 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 the sample code that's out there for folks to learn iOS development. Have you ever seen sample code with tests in it? Because most of the time, you're right, you're trying to figure out, I want to make, a screen with a table of some kind with rows in it. And you're like, okay, so you're going to learn how to use UI table view controller or collection views or Swift UI now in its own way. It's hard to learn two things at once, is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't blame the authors of these samples and tutorials for omitting tests. However, the problem with that is then testing becomes an afterthought rather than making it like a first-class requirement that whatever you make had better be testable. Oh, I've got to catch up. Currently reading your book. Thank you. Trying to encourage more testing in my crew. Wish me luck. Any advice? My main piece of advice would be to make sure that your tests get into continuous integration onto your build system, whatever it is. Because I was able for a long time, when I was first getting started in my testing journey, I was kind of like the only person. And back then, there was no build system. And so what would happen is I would like say, oh, I need to make this testable. So I would extract things or make things parameterized, like to support dependency injection, or to say, yeah, I need to be able to call this function with some different inputs. And I checked in the test code, but I was the only one running the tests. And I come back the next day and a coworker has inlined all that stuff and gotten rid of all the parameters and broken all my tests. And I went, whoa. Could we not do that? Could you put those back? Because they break my tests. And the answer I received was kind of like, well, that's, your code looks dumb. It's unnecessarily complicated because that person wasn't running the tests. You can avoid that, I think, by making sure that tests are executed as part of your build process. And if any test fails, you fail your build. And that will bring everyone else on board. Even if they're not writing tests, at least it'll stop them from breaking yours. And that's a good start. So that's, I guess, my first piece of advice to you, Anibalcito. Yeah. All right. Let's call it a day. I think this was fun. This was really useful. I really want to thank Bill Wake for coming up with this awesome stuff and giving us a way forward. I'm excited. I want to learn how to use this. Yeah. Let's keep moving it forward. Let's play around. And Ani, feel free to to tweet me any questions. You can find me on Q Coding. All right. We'll come back. My hope next week is to take the other answers from the survey and then combine them with the weights, which we now have. Thank you so much, folks. Have a great day or a great evening wherever you are. Peace.